Let me just explain to you the difference in the abuse and the difference in departments of justice. I mean, we can go all the way back to Republicans having a fit when JFK tried to nominate RFK, his brother, to be Attorney General, but I can actually go back to Joe Biden. Joe Biden indicted his own son. Did he deserve to be indicted? Yes. But he indicted his own son.
You're saying the White House was directing. You're saying the White House was directing indictments. But you're saying they were directing indictments. That's a revelation.
Have one person speak at a time. What were you saying?
That's Republican Scott Jennings completely calling out CNN's Barry Sellers for his double standard on the Comey indictment. For years, the mainstream media had no problem cheering on endless investigations into Trump, but now that James Comey himself is facing charges, suddenly they're crying that it's all political. And it looks like CNN is in full meltdown mode after Comey finally got indicted. The hypocrisy is unbelievable. This is the same network that spent years saying, no one is above the law. But now that their former FBI hero is in serious legal trouble, the story has completely changed. And here's Scott Jennings doing what he does best, pointing out the double standard and refusing to let them off the hook.
And put somebody who, I mean, is just simply inept and unqualified to actually have that job.
Well, she was apt and qualified enough to get a grand jury to look at the evidence and return 2 charges against him. Are you saying that this process, which is used all over the country every single day to bring crimes all over the code, is somehow broken? These are ordinary citizens in a liberal jurisdiction who looked at evidence from a prosecutor and said, yeah, it looks like there's something here. Is that not what happened?
Yeah.
Watching somebody like Speaker Johnson normalize that, it sends us down an incredibly dangerous path.
I'm stunned to hear you say we're now worried about normalizing this kind of thing. We had an attorney.
You are about to do right now. Let's hear it.
I'm about to tell you what happened in the state of New York when the Democratic Attorney General ran an entire political campaign promising not to uphold justice, but to prosecute one person, Donald Trump. And I didn't hear a lot of weeping and gnashing of teeth among Democrats about normalizing the weaponization of justice.
And what we're talking about is the abuse of the system.
What abuse beyond the idea of prosecuting people when Democrats were going after Trump? Were you worried about abuse?
Because I firmly believe that Donald Trump broke the law and he was indicted.
Do you think the 34 charges that are cited all the time were good?
For years, Democrats and their allies in the media flashed the phrase, "nobody is above the law," across every headline while celebrating the 91 felony charges against Trump. These are the same people who brushed off Hillary Clinton smashing her devices with hammers, or Joe Biden keeping classified documents in his garage. But now that Comey is being held accountable for lying to Congress and obstructing oversight, suddenly it's all being called political persecution. Jennings is right to remind them of the truth. This isn't spin, it's a grand jury decision that CNN just doesn't want to face.
Well, look, that's the thing. There's a system, and the system includes grand juries and juries of ordinary Americans who get in a room and make decisions. He can't order people to be indicted, and he can't order people to be convicted. He can express his opinion. In the case of Comey, grand jurors in a very liberal jurisdiction got together and decided that the evidence did warrant charges. Comey will go to trial, and then a jury of his peers will decide whether he is guilty or not. The president can't do anything about that. He can make commentary on it. I'm not sure if it's wise or not wise to do that, or if it will matter at all. But ultimately, I'll just say what Jim Comey said when Donald Trump was indicted. It's a good day for the rule of law because we have a system, and the system is in place, and the system is working as it was designed, with average, ordinary Americans making decisions about how our laws will be enforced.
But you know, you said that he can't actually order the indictment of someone. I think he just proved that he could. I think what he did, the series of events that took place here, we have to actually be clear about what happened, right? He tried to pressure Eric Siebert at the Eastern District of Virginia to pursue this prosecution. He did not. The U.S. prosecutors there said they did not see enough evidence. So he forces him out. He publicly declares to Pam Bondi, you need to target these political enemies, specifically labeling James Comey. And then, right after that, installs Lindsay Halligan, a former insurance lawyer with no prosecutorial experience, to go in there, and then within days, Comey's indicted even after rank and file prosecutors, they gave her a declination memo that said, this is why we don't think there's enough evidence. So I don't think this is just the process playing out. I think this is Donald Trump explicitly abusing his power and directing a prosecution of a political enemy.
You said we have to be very clear about what happened, and then you left out the most critical part, where a prosecutor has to go into a grand jury, present the evidence, and make the case why charges are warranted. And The grand jury has to agree with that. In this case, they did. Now, I don't know if he'll be convicted or not, but you can't leave out and deny that there's a critical step where average, ordinary Americans get put in a room and they ultimately have to decide, does a case go or does it not go? And then they will decide whether you're guilty or whether you're not guilty. That is an important part of the process that he cannot really alter or change.
Jennings is absolutely right. A 23-person grand jury in Northern Virginia, and let's be clear, that's not exactly a mega stronghold, reviewed the evidence and decided that Comey should be indicted. That's not Trump pulling strings. That's ordinary citizens saying the case was strong enough to move forward. And honestly, after everything Comey did with Russiagate and the Mueller investigation hoax, it's good to finally see some accountability. But what do you think? Is this indictment a real crack in the so-called deep state's armor, or is it just more political theater meant to fire up liberals in the media? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, it really does help us out. That's it for now. Thanks for watching, everyone.